Takulandirani ku AMTV Malawi kuchimake kwa nkhani zenizeni. Ngati nkhani imeneyo kuno kulibe, dziwani kuti nkhani imeneyo ndi yabodza.
EMJ, the MD himself, would like to welcome you to Parliament. You're appearing before this committee because of the guidance or your involvement in the purchase of the Amaris Hotel. So Parliament was mandated to do an inquiry. So you're here to basically give your position, your expertise, and all the information that you require. But before I get into substantive issues, you would want to be taught in the first place that whatever is happening here is live, with media. So we want you to be at peace and at ease. Relax, chill, and give a committee all the relevant information that you feel you're going to give. But as a House of Records, we'll proceed in this way. We'll give you chance to take an oath, because whatever you're going to discuss or give to this committee, we would like you to give it the best and only the facts, not anything else. So at this stage, allow me to request Secretariat to administer the oath. After that, we will have introductions so that you get to know the members who are seated. And at the same time, Secretariat will also give a chance for media to introduce themselves, so that in the event that the media is giving out something which is contrary to what you've said, you can also query them, because you are a Malawian and all your rights are intact at this stage. As such, allow me to ask a Secretary to administer now.
I, Chisare Manuel, do solemnly swear, Almighty God, that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
I, Simplex Banali, do solemnly swear by the Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Thank you so much, Secretariat. At this point, allow me to ask honor members to introduce themselves. After honor members, Secretariat, then we'll proceed to media. From my far right, please, honor member.
Chair, this is Irene Mambala, Member of Parliament for Balaka Mulunguzi.
Through you, Chair, my name is Noel Olipipa, Member of Parliament for Blantyre, Chiromoni, Kabulana, and Choli constituency. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Christiane Barnett Nyondo, representing the people of Chitipa Central constituency. Thank you, Chair.
Good morning, Chair. I'm Young Peel, representing the people of Lilongwe East. Thank you.
Chair, through you, representing the people of Mulanje Southeast, Buka Matemvu. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Macpherson Mwaindalama, representing the people of Chiradzulu Nyungwi. Thank you.
Santiago Samson Piri is my name, representing the people of Mulanje South constituency. Thank you.
Through you, Chair, my name is Winston Ngabanjira, Member of Parliament for Lilongwe Chiwamba constituency. Thank you.
Chair, this is George Katonga Million, Member of Parliament, Palombe Machemba. Thank you, Chair.
And my name is Best Ben Awali, Member of Parliament for Zomba City North. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, good morning. My name is Gerard Tasaugadala, representing the people of Blantyre Central constituency. Thank you very much, Chair.
Chair, I'm Amina Gajia, representing the people of Zomba Sondole.
Good morning. My name is Susan Dosi, Member of Parliament for Chikwawa West. Thank you.
Through Honorable Chairperson, I'm Nelly Carter, Parliament Secretariat.
Honorable Chairperson, Chile Likoma, Parliament Secretariat. Thank you.
Media will give you time. Can you, Secretariat, can you assign them one spot? They must introduce themselves. Secretariat, please.
Good morning. My name is Bempir Malimba. I work for Times.
Good morning, Chair. I'm George Singin from Nation Publications.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Gift Kalonga from Lunda TV.
Good morning. My name is Bridget Magawa, MBC.
Good morning. My name is Madalitso Mhango from MBC.
Colleague, please use the mic because every proceeding is being recorded.
Good morning. My name is Madalitso Mhango from MBC.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Lonjeson Sodoka from MBC.
Thank you so much. Can I have that mic switched off? Thank you so much. I'll give you EMJ time to introduce yourself and your firm. After that, I'll guide the proceedings on how we're going to proceed as a committee. Your time.
Thank you, Chair. So, my name is Chisale Manua. I'm a director at EMJ. Thank you, Chair, and honored members present here.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm Simplex Banali. I am a consultant who sometimes works with the EMJ.
And through you, Chair, representing the people of Lilongwe Mpenu, this is Eisenhower Nkaka.
Honour members, my name is Baba Stephen Malondera. I'm an MP for Lilongwe Nyanja constituency and a chairperson of Public Accounts Committee. With that said, and that we know each other, I'd like to ask you, EMJ, to be at ease and give us all the relevant information, because this is a Public Accounts Committee and we are mandated to do this and we are within the law in whatever we're doing. In fact, we have powers. If you're here at Parliament, we have powers to conduct this inquiry, and this is in pursuant to Standing Order 151. The Public Accounts Committee is like any other committees of the House. We have several committees of the House. And this committee, the Public Accounts, has several powers. One of the, some of the powers to summon or subpoena any person to attend and give evidence before a committee at a stated time and place. You were surely given a letter of invitation indicating that you are to appear before this committee. This is in line with Standing Order 151, and also to require any person to disclose and produce to the committee any papers and records in that person's control, possession, and custody relevant to the committee's proceedings, like what we're having just now. So I'll just highlight those two powers of the BENE that this committee has. At this point, I would like to give you time to make your presentation, submission in relation to the involvement of you and your institution in the process of the sale or purchase of Amaris Hotel by the pension fund. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, the Chair, Honorable Chair of the committee, and all the honorable members present here. I want to start by saying we did receive a letter indeed from here for us to appear before this honorable committee, and here we are. In the invite, there were a number of areas that you, Chair, and your honorable committee highlighted that we should provide feedback in terms of the way we dealt with those areas. My presentation will basically be to contextualize those areas, and then within the course of my presentation, Honorable Chair and the members present, there will be a time where my colleague, Banali, will come in and give feedback in terms of the financial analysis that was done. And then I'll carry over, I'll proceed, and then I'll conclude with my presentation. So let me start by saying, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members of the committee, thank you for inviting us to provide insights into the number of areas related to the assessment report that we issued with regard to the viability business analysis for Amaryllis Hotel. What was our role as consultants? So we are engaged as independent consultants to conduct the viability business analysis for the hotel. And our engagement was based on the specific terms of reference. When we were submitting the documentation that you, Chair, and honorable members present here, we also submitted the terms of reference that we received for the performance of that engagement. What was our role? Our role was strictly professional and advisory in nature. And we did not participate in any negotiations or decision making. Our responsibility was basically to analyze the investment and present an objective professional opinion. And therefore, any implementation of the recommendations that we proposed in that report were subject to a number of factors, such as the final negotiations by those that are charged with governance of the pension fund, completion of the legal due diligence, and verification of the debt settlement by the debtor, including compliance with regulatory requirements. We do appreciate the committee's interest, Honorable Chair and the honorable members present here, in understanding how the figures in the report were derived at, and we basically outline the scope and the methodology that we employed, the analysis, and the assumptions underpinning the proposed returns. In terms of the scope and methodology, Honorable Chair, our scope and methodology, these were clearly defined by the pension fund in their terms of reference. So when you look at the terms of reference section 3, it is basically giving out what we supposed to do. So we're basically supposed to undertake a viability assessment of the hotel, due diligence, and come up with the report that which included information that was available at the time in terms of the business analysis reports that had already been done, the property evaluation reports that were done initially, and the also analysis of the hospitality sector. So we are expected to conduct largely, this is based on the terms of reference that were given to us, largely the desk reviews by getting secondary data, to getting literature reviews from the client, from the seller, but also analysis of the macroeconomic fundamentals and reviewing them. The data to include analysis in terms of the economic environment, investment conditions, the hospitality business analysis, and the projections. Our competencies. Based on the terms of reference, we are supposed to possess the following skills, Chair, Honorable Chair: the general business analysis, ability to analyze the hospitality sector, ability to analyze the financial statements, ability to undertake the due risk analysis, ability to undertake internal rate of returns calculations and NPVs, but also ability in terms of analyzing the management accounts for the hotel. One would be saying, were we qualified for that? So over the number of years, we have undertaken various consultancies, both within the private sector and public sector. And because of that, we've got a good number of consultants, well qualified in various industries that we can bring on board in terms of undertaking a particular project, like the one that we did. Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, the analysis was conducted using internally accepted financial and valuation methods used for pension fund and real estate investments. There are many approaches used. So we did use the income-based evaluation. Why? Because a hotel is an income-generating asset. The primary method used to estimate the future incomes and the hotel is expected to generate, which involved analyzing the historical financial performance, analyzing the occupancy levels, analyzing the room tariffs, but also analyzing the operating costs at the time. In terms of market comparisons, the analysis also looked at comparative hotels within Blantyre, but this one is in Blantyre, market pricing indicators, but also price room indicators. The consultancy analyzed the market outlook and industry trends under Section 2 of the report. The report also analyzed information from various platforms. What were the platforms? So we know there are publications from the Malawi Tourism Council. We've got publications on travel and tourism. We've also publications from the RBM in terms of the focus. The assumptions that were underlying the projected returns, asset value and risk exposure, Honorable Chair and honorable members present here. The assumptions were not arbitrary. So these were based on the historical performance of the hotel, Honorable Chair, the market conditions in Blantyre, comparable hotels, but also the industry practices. Where uncertainty existed, Honorable Chair and honorable members present, conservative assumptions were applied. For example, moderate occupancy rates were assumed rather than peak occupancies. The moderate room tariffs were assumed, and operating costs including allowances for inflation and maintenance. The projections therefore, Chair, are representing a reasonable expectation rather than an optimistic forecast.
Can you retake that one? because you're reading, you said, just retake that one.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Honorable Chair. The projections, therefore, represent reasonable expectations rather than optimistic forecast. Whether there were any material, financial, operational, and market risk that were identified, the consultancy chair, Honorable Chair, identified risks associated with the investment, including those that were discussed in section 3 of the report, which talked through the issues in terms of market and competitive risks, financial risks, operational risks, but also looked at environmental risks. At this point, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, before I proceed with my contextual information, allow me to bring in my fellow consultant, Banari, to take us through the financial analysis that we did. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much for that. We'll give you all the freedom because we want you to feel at home. This is your parliament. Seated at your left are your elected members of parliament. To that effect, we will not gag you and whatnot. We'll flow with you. Because what Malawians are expecting is proper information. Now that your colleague also took an oath, we'll proceed to give Banari a stage to explain what he can explain to this nation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chair. I don't know if it will be important to open my laptop, as he has put it, to say I need to give a proper context of how the calculations were done. But I will request Honorable Chair that you indicate whether you need that detailed calculation so that I can provide. But in brief, what I can say is based on what Mr. Chisale has said, our role was to do a business valuation analysis where we are looking at Amaryllis Hotel as a going concern, not as a building or a structure. In that context, our valuation was based on the income generating potential of the business and not the value of the...
Mr. Banali, can I guide this way? Maybe can you switch off your mic?
All right.
If you may recall, at the beginning of this proceeding, I did indicate that it is within the powers of this committee to require any person to disclose and produce to the committee any papers and records in that person's control, possession, and custody relevant to the committee's proceeding. You've just indicated that you have some papers, recordings, or light-up, which is going to form a case for you. So I'd like to ask Secretariat to give you a platform to connect to the projector so that everyone in this room and those who are watching can see what you're saying. So give you space because you've started explaining, but you're talking of numbers here, and those numbers must be beamed so that people can actually see. Secretariat, can you connect him to the projector, please? Secretariat, can you help us with the projector? I think it's not been rolled to the maximum. Can we roll it so that is at peace to give this committee all the relevant information? Kindly proceed. Make sure that your mic is on because we need to record everything happening in this room.
Put it on.
Please proceed.
Yeah. So what I was saying is, our mostly our work was around looking at the viability of the Amaryllis Hotel in terms of its revenue.
Maybe before you proceed, you may wish to zoom and put a proper thing as a professional. As Secretariat, you may wish to assist in terms of the zooming, so the font size. It has to be, if it's just zooming. So colleagues from Secretariat, kindly help our colleague so that, great, that size, sharp.
Is that okay?
I think even media can see now because they were not seeing properly. Please proceed.
All right. So what I was saying is, for us to be able to provide our proposed range of the hotel value, we had to do a number of calculations, and like my colleague has indicated, we had to do a financial analysis whereby we had to look at the previous or the historical performance of the Amaryllis Hotel and analyze the performance metrics or the performance indicators of the of those previous years. And the beamed here are the numbers for 2021, 2022, 2023, which were audited, and the 23, 24 and 25 were unaudited numbers, and for the year end of the target company, which is Amaryllis, ends in March. So from April to September, we had requested for the management accounts so that we should understand the present performance at the time that we were drafting the report. I should mention here that where we got the numbers from, the target company, which is Amaryllis Hotel. They provided with us the previous financial statements and as well as the management accounts when we requested from them. They also provided with us their financial model. They have a comprehensive financial model. They built as a guide
Our colleagues in the room, let's just make sure that we are taking care of, we're careful with the codes. Otherwise, we may have delays.
Point of order, Chairperson.
What has gone out of order?
Chairperson,
Mulanje Southeast?
Chairperson, for
the sake of continuity, may I suggest that our colleague proceeds? We have the documentation on our, we have soft copies of the documentation so that we can follow while the technicians are working on the dimming.
A point of order sustained. Colleagues, Secretariat, you may wish also to. I think now we're back, sir. Fine. Please proceed. But in the event that we experience the same scenario, we'll have no choice but to proceed, like is a guidance from Mulanje Southeast. Thank you. You may proceed, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'll proceed. So based on the numbers, the historical numbers, we conducted the performance indicators for that period, and those were the percentages that we got. The revenue growth, considering that the hotel was started, I think it was started operations in 2021. It was a period when COVID had its impacts still on the surface. Companies were still feeling it, and the performance wasn't that good. But the revenue grew more than twice in the subsequent year, and it continued to grow to 57%. Yeah, up to the numbers we are seeing there. The EBITDA, which is the earning before interest, taxes, and depreciation. Yeah, the trend. Through your chair, I think as you. All right, we are back. Yeah, so I think in short, this slide is trying to give us the historical performance of the hotel up to the management accounts of September 2025. So as we can see, other than the loss experienced in 2023 or 2024 due to the devaluation, the rest of the numbers will show you that the hotel business is a profitable business. So that should be the starting point to say the hotel, if you had to analyze it as a business, it's a profitable business. That again, we made some comparative analysis with its peers, though they are not at par, because Amaris it's a 5-star hotel. The other ones are not yet there, but we consider Sunbelt and the Blantyre hotels as its peers. So if you go and look at the performance of the comparative hotels, they're also profitable. For, I think, Blantyre hotels, what eats their profits should be the interest, the financial costs. And considering that Amaris will be acquired debt-free, that risk will not be there. The profitability of the business is granted. From there, I will go to the projections. Like I said, apart from the financial statements that we were shared with, we were also provided with a financial model. A financial model gives, it says some focus, or it's a basis of evaluating your performance moving forward. So it's forward-looking rather than the historical numbers that we have been seeing. So based on that financial model, of which to assess the reliability of the numbers, what we did was to compare the financial metrics or the financial ratios that were presented in the model with the financial ratios of the performance results of the PA hotels. So the percentages were not far from the percentages being reported by the other hotels. As such, we were we had to rely on the numbers because they were not giving, they were giving numbers that can be substantiated and or compared with the numbers with the other hotels within, other industries within the same sector, which is the hotel sector. So this page is just giving us the financial projections, the 10 years financial projections from 2026 to 2035, of which again we will see the same trend that the business, there will be revenue growth is there, which has been estimated at 15%. Cost of sales is estimated at 31%, operating expenses to sales 29%, a gross margin of 69%. Based on these projections, we were now we then went further to calculate the equity of the hotel as at 31st September, because the equity calculation was based on the numbers that were provided as at 31st September last year, 2025. So on the equity calculations, the owner of the hotel, based on their financial model, they had calculated that the equity of the hotel as at that date, based on that date, 30th September 2025, at 17.5% as the cost of equity, they calculated that the equity of the hotel was 180,583. However, considering that the 17.5% was much less, we had to apply a 20% and in order to see the impact. And based on that, when we applied the 20%, which was also consistent with the previous reports, they used the same cost of equity, which was 20%. The equity of the hotel came to 144,000. Yeah, the equity of the hotel came to 144,000. That was based on the financial projections. So the first number that we have as the value of the hotel, based purely on the financial model shared and an adjusted cost of equity of 20%, the net present value or the equity of the hotel was at 144. Compared to the 180,000, which was presented in the original financial model. Further, to compare with that value, we also had to, though we were not supposed to do, or a more recent valuation of the property was not done, but we had to use the previous valuations and do an indexation whereby we are trying to look at what was the value of the hotel from the previous valuation, and then factor in the inflation, which is the indexation, to bring the value to the current economic status. And when we did that, the value of the hotel now as a building, the adjusted value came to 107 million, because in between 2023 the inflation rate was 29.5%, 2024 32.2%, 2025 we were averaging around 28%. If you consider that and adjust the value of the previous valuations, the value of the hotel comes to 107 million.
Is it
107 billion, yeah.
Please, I wanted you to retake that one.
Thank you so much, Chair, for the correction. Further, we also looked at adjusted value based on the actual asset as presented in the financial statements. The cost of the asset was 25.4 billion. That is as per the 31st March 2025 financial statements. The cost of building the asset was 25.4 billion. Now, what we were trying to do here to adjust that value so that we should estimate how much could be the value of asset now, using the revaluation, how much gain has the asset gained during that period, and we ended up having the 84 billion. Sorry?
Can you come again
On the 84 billion?
Yes.
Okay, what I was saying is the adjusted average market value, which is from the previous slide, it was 107 billion. The average market value as at 2023 was 49 billion. There's a revaluation gain of 58 when we compare with the adjusted market value with the value, the market value as at July 2023. So that revaluation gain added to the actual cost of constructing the hotel is the one that is giving us the 84 billion. I think I've already explained about the discounting part, but I'll proceed to investment analysis. What I was explaining in the previous slides, I did indicate that those were purely based on the financial model that were provided by the hotel. And then, though this was not our scope area to do an investment analysis, whereby we are forward-looking and do some adjustments to the financial model, but we went further to do that to see how the numbers would look like, though we did not incorporate costs that could be incurred due to change in the management of the hotel. But when I did that, of which let me support where I'm getting the I'm trying to expand, bear with me. Yeah, I think it will still be hard to expand it further, but maybe I will just explain. To say what I did on investment analysis is to bring in our own assumptions, to compare it to the original assumptions of the owners of the hotel. So, unlike the revenue inflation of 20%, which was used throughout the years in the financial model, I had to adjust the revenue growth to 17% average. Cost inflation in the original model was also 20%. I maintained that at 20% throughout the year so that we should be a bit conservative. We maintained a hotel occupancy of 65%, though compared to the PA hotels, their occupancy was around 58%. But when we look at the SADC region, for a premium hotel like Amaryllis, the occupancy should be hovering around 60 to 70, so we used 65% as an average. I also brought in an assumption that 90% of the free cash flow will be reinvested into short-term deposits, where an average of 15% return was assumed. This average of 15% was arrived at looking at the trend, but at the time that we were building up these numbers, some of the returns one could get from a 30-day or 90-day deposits were over 24%. So the 15% return was reasonable and conservative. So based on these numbers or these adjustments, we went further to now calculate to recalculate the net present value, the IRR, the internal rate of return of the investment, as well as the profitability index and the payback period of the investment. And when calculating doing the investment analysis, I took the average of the three numbers that I beamed there, the 144 plus the 107 plus the 84, which was giving about 113 or 112 something. Then I rounded that to 115 as my initial capital investment. I assumed that the pension fund will buy the hotel for 115 billion. So the calculations which are here, the assumption was the hotel will be bought at 115 billion. And I applied the different rates, 17.5, 19%, and an average of 18.3%. When we apply 17.5%, what we were getting is a net present value of 47.9 billion. Or sorry, what we are getting is 162.9 billion. When I apply 19%, a net present value of 142.8 billion. When I apply the average of 18.3, a net present value of 152 billion was there. And just to let you know that when calculating these numbers, we give ourselves a room up to maybe 10 years or 15 or 20, whereby you allow the actual numbers to appear in your calculations. Then in the final year, you calculate a terminal value. Because the hotel will be there maybe for 50 years. A good example could be the Sandbird Hotel, Mount Sochi. It has been there, I think some of us maybe, we found it when we were born, but it's still there, it's still making money. So the growth, at the point of where you are calculating the terminal value, you consider the growth of the industry. So our assumption here, we assumed growth rate of between 3 and 5%. So the numbers that we're having below, they are based on that growth rate, which is also reasonable. Apart from the net present value of 162.9, apart from the equity value of 142, 142 and 152, the NPV was 47.9. When we apply 17.5%, 27.8 when we apply 19%, 18.3% we get 37.8 billion. Profitability index of 1.42 when we apply the high rate, the lower rate, 1.24 when we apply the lower rate, 1.33 when we use the average. The IRR is maintained at 18%. The discounted payback period is at 18 years throughout the percentages that we applied. The undiscounted payback period is at 8 years. Discounted, just to explain, when we talk of discounted payback period, we are looking at, we are trying to bring back the values of the future cash flows to the present value. So if you are to consider that, for the pension fund to recover its investment, it will take 18 years. If you consider the values as they are without converting the future values to align with the current value, the payback period will just be 8 years. Yeah, so based on these numbers again, you will see that if we use 19% as our cost of equity, there's equity value of 142 billion. If we use 17.5, there is equity value of 162 billion. If we use the average of 18.3, we have equity value of 152 billion. So this again aligns to the numbers that we had at the beginning. The calculations that we had at the beginning is not very far from the equity value of 144 that we mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. We are also asked to do some sensitivity analysis to say if the occupancy went down by 5% and they went up by 5%, what would be the impact on the revenue? So we did that, and what we saw was that a reduction of a movement of the occupancy rate by 5% will affect 8% of the revenues. Yeah, in terms of the calculations based on the financial numbers, the calculations are ending there. I think for the rest of the presentation, my colleague will proceed to present to the committee. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Once again, thank you so much for the presentation. Apologies because of technical hitches that we had. But the good thing, we have relevant documents, and we'll base on the relevant documents to inform the House, because whatever we're doing here, we will report to the House. EMJ, do you have anything to add? Do you want to supplement anything before I open the floor for members to ask questions?
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Chair. I wanted to say, maybe just because I was the one presenting, let me just finalize, because it will be disturbed where to start from. Yeah, so I think apart from the consideration of the numbers that we have just presented, to say in terms of profitability of the investment, it's a viable investment based on the numbers. We also had to consider when we sat down with some of the investment committee members of the fund, we had a privilege to see at their current asset allocation. What is in their portfolio, in their port? What investments do they have? I think just to mention that Malawi is very small when it comes to investment. And when we look at the funds that the fund has, they have a lot of funds. And those funds, as the date of the report, they were much invested in the financial market, most especially in the treasury bills, where they were just relying on the passive income interest rates. It's an easy investment, of course, which is preferred by many. So a consideration to diversify the portfolio is eminent. And looking at the narrow opportunities that are available in Malawi, the fund also identified the hotel sector as one of the sectors that they'll be building up, or they'll be investing quite a number of their funds. So when we looked at the current portfolio of the fund exhibits an aggressive approach where 68% was invested in listed equities. So we thought this calls for a strong case for strategic diversification into alternative asset classes. In this case, alternative asset classes would mean other investments other than the investing in the liquid equities. And the hotel was one of the businesses where I think that kind of investment could go. As a young pension fund, it is essential to build a portfolio that balances growth and predictable income to safeguard future obligations. When we look at, when I analyzed the performance of Sunbelt, in 2024, should be 2023 or 2024, they made over 102% in profits. And the profitability has been constant all along, which ensures that the investment in the hotel industry is profitable, and in terms of income, it's predictable. So investing in a Amaryllis Hotel, we thought it offers a compelling opportunity to achieve that balance. Moreover, Amaryllis is already fully operational. It's a premium hotel which cannot be compared 100% to the peers in Blantyre. The acquisition, therefore, we thought not only strengthens the fund's diversification strategy, but also enhances its ability to secure sustainable long-term financial performance for the members. Other than looking at the portfolio itself, we also thought of the social and the developmental considerations. If given a choice to invest the funds into the equity market or buying the government papers, what would one go for as a nation? It is eminent to understand that at the time of the report, the hotel was employing over 100 people. If you are to invest into the government papers, no one will be employed. So other than just looking at the financial numbers, you also need to look at the social impact of the investment. Apart from the creation of the employment, you also need to look at the economic multiplier effect of the investment. When you invest into these passive income generating investments, the spread or the passover in terms of the incomes is not there. But investing in the hotel, there's opportunities of businesses for the local Malawians. People will be supplying tomatoes, will be supplying various items to the hotel. That's multiplying the financial benefits that even the fund is getting. It will be spreading to the communities. So we also thought it was good to mention that that apart from the financial benefits, there are also a lot of social and development considerations that may come along with the purchasing the hotel. So based on all those factors, our firm or our work concluded that the investment is viable, and we made an advice that the acquisition price should range from 115 billion, which is the average of the numbers that we presented, to 145 billion, which is the equity value of the investment. The IRR of the investment will be 18%. And from our research, the average working class in Malawi is 30 to 40%, with a payback period of 15 to 20 years. It will align with the maturing or the retiring period of quite a number of the members. The final advice was on most of the acquisitions. You can do the mathematics well. But if the post-acquisition is not managed well, you will think the decision you made was not right. So another consideration was also made on how should the hotel be managed post-acquisition. So on that, we recommended that the fund should identify an independent manager who would manage the hotel, though that should be at a cost which normally ranges between 3 to 5% of the gross revenues. With an independent manager, there's a hope that revenue will increase. And currently, the hotel is being managed as a hot hotel because the owner is a Muslim. He doesn't sell alcohol. That reason also has an impact on the revenues. If they are to engage an independent manager and assumes that they turn it to a wet hotel, definitely that will change the occupancy as well as the total revenues of the business. Yeah, reaching at this point, I think my colleague can just take the proposed strategic recommendations, the final few points that we made to the fund. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you so much for your presentation. EMJ, that submission, can you switch off your mic? That submission that you want to make, can you have an estimate of time? Is it you need 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think I need to do the closing remarks, which will be maybe about 5 minutes or so.
You cannot proceed to the closing remarks because the members haven't asked you anything yet. So it's a matter of you making a submission, presentation, then the members will ask questions based on what you've done. When we're done, I'll give you time to do closing remarks, not now.
Can I proceed, Chair?
Kindly proceed. How many minutes?
5 minutes.
That's 5 minutes you're given.
Thank you, Chair, and the honorable members present. So we're closing with this statement, Chair, that we would like to emphasize that we've seen the figures the way they were panning out, the way the financial analysis was done, the way we plugged in the microeconomic fundamentals into the models that were there, the assumptions that were made, the assessments that were done. But what we're saying is that the report that we submitted is representing an independent professional analysis which was prepared using recognized financial methods. This was the professional analysis and the report based on the information that was available at the time. We did submit the report with the recommendations. The decision to proceed with the investment was the responsibility of the fund, or the fund board, considering the various factors. One of them that we put forward was it would be them taking the final negotiations, but they should also consider any legal due diligence, regulatory clearance, but also in terms of provisions, what do their provisions in terms of their policies say, and the verification of the debt settlement by the vendor. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable members. We do submit.
Thank you so much, EMJ, for your presentation. And once again, I would like to appreciate that you've honored our invitation and you have appeared before a Public Accounts Committee. EMJ, before we get into substantive issues, you've presented several things. As a valuer, as a valuer, I would like to find out: are you registered? EMJ, are you registered?
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and thank you, the members present. Before I respond to that question, when you look at the terms of reference for the assignment, they were saying they will need a consultant who would be able to undertake a business valuation.
Point of order, Chairperson.
Mulanje, AMG, can you switch off your mic? Mulanje Southeast, please.
Please guide the stakeholder to respond accordingly. Yes or no? You have provided a question, and he is supposed to answer that question, not answer what he thinks is the question. He has to answer your question. Please direct accordingly. Chairperson, yes or no?
Honourable members, I appreciate your sentiments. AMJ, can I retake my question so that maybe you're clear? Are you registered?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We are registered as a firm.
Are you registered as a valuer? Because you've time and again referred to as professionals who've reached at this and these numbers. You know all this, when you punch in these figures, you at a certain stage you say it, no, within 18 years, these monies shall be recovered. But we had yesterday others in the discussion. They failed to get to like Continental Asset Management. They had indicated that at 48 billion, the recovery period shall be around 36 years. At 48 billion. Now, as a professional, now you're here, seated in this room, indicating that at an average between 115 billion to 148 billion, you indicated that the recovery period can be within 18 years. But at 48 billion, one of the stakeholders indicated that you can recover in 40 years, thereabout. Today, you're here indicating that at 115 billion, you can recover that money within 18 years. That's the reason I'm asking, as a valuer. Are you registered?
No.
So we're dealing with someone valuing property over 127 billion, over a billion, who is not a registered valuer. Yes or no?
Yes.
Honourable members, honourable members, can I have takers to...
Chair, point of order.
Maybe before I take another point of order. How long when were you engaged to do this evaluation?
We're engaged in November.
Can you be specific in terms of numbers, the exact date? When were you, as EMJ, engaged to do the evaluation? By who?
I'll need to check on the contract that we signed.
Honourable members, before I come on the supplementary, I'll come to you. Can you come out clear? Because you're able to recall, you said in November. Which year?
So we are engaged in November 2025 by PSF. Pension Sales Fund.
Are you the owner of EMJ Advisory?
So EMJ is a firm which has got two directors, and I'm one of them.
Who is the other director?
The other director is Chiremba Oliver.
Okay. Honourable members, let me open this for members to interrogate and actually get to a position. Because you've said that you're engaged. Can you switch off your mic? You've indicated to the committee that you were engaged in November. When did you produce your report?
The first draft was done late November because the assignment was supposed to be for 10 days, based on the terms of reference. Chair. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
So the terms of reference in making a valuation, because you lightly indicated to this committee that there was a desk survey. So you were told to find the actual value of this hotel, and the terms of reference was specific that within 10 days you were supposed to deliver. Is it a yes or no?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you so much. Honourable members, can I open for takers?
Can I supplement, Chair?
Vice Chair?
Yes.
We'll take from Lilongwe Mpenu. Can I have other takers from this side? Honourable members, I see Mulanje Southeast. I see Blantyre Chiromoni. I see Zomba City North. In that order, please, starting here.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Chisale Emmanuel, I want you to confirm that you were indeed contracted by PSPTF, who are the owners of the fund.
Through you, Chair, allow me to respond to the honourable member. So I would like to confirm that we are contracted by the Pension Service, Public Pension Service Fund.
Thank you for the confirmation. Now, in his submission, Mr. Banari, he has consistently said or told this committee that you depended as EMJ on the financial model provided by the hotel. Can you also confirm that?
Yes, through you, Chair, I confirm that.
And at this point in time, is it wrong to say that the hotel was conflicted and you could not depend on their financial model to form, as a basis for your decision to advise the pension owners? Because here is the hotel, basically a vendor, wanting to sell to the pension owners, and then you are contracted by the pension owners to give them professional advice, and yet you are depending on information that is provided by the hotel. Don't you think, as a professional, it was wrong for you to depend on information provided by the hotel?
Yeah, through you, Chair, I don't think so. Because in my presentation, I had indicated that we had to do a reliability analysis to gain comfort of the numbers that were presented in the financial model. So I don't think so.
I believe that you're answering as a professional.
Yes, we're answering as a profession. We had to, I understand we had to build the numbers from scratch, but again, those numbers could have been based on the factors or the based on the metrics that were already presented in the financial model, like the room occupancy, the numbers regarding the expenses, the cost of sales. Those are the numbers that we had to look at. It was a desk research, which we are not supposed to do much of a primary research, to go down and do our analysis on the ground. We had to rely on the documents that we were shared with the various concerned parties.
Mr. Isale, there's a point of order. Switch off your mic. Chitipa Central, what's out of order?
Thank you, Chair. Based on your questions, the stakeholder confessed that they are not qualified valuers. I'm wondering, Chair, if we need to continue with the stakeholder, considering that the response they will be giving us are their opinions, not from professional point of view. It's like asking a medical person questions of a patient, knowing very well that he's not qualified to practice. We need your guidance here on that one.
Point of order, Chair. I think.
Mr. Jesale, relax. I'm the chairperson in this room.
All right.
And we'll guide you. Don't worry. We are in this room. Honour members, allow me to suspend the proceedings for 10 minutes so that honour members can discuss, then have a position. Looking at what has just been raised before I suspend the proceedings, honour members, because the point of order is legit and valid. As Parliament, we have different experts. It's unfortunate that when people look at Parliament, they are still nursing hangover of the parliaments which were there then, but different experts have won in their constituencies and are here at Parliament. They have served in different capacities out there, and they are seated in this room. So I would like to make a plea and an appeal to citizens of this great nation, wherever they are, where they know that they are experts in different fields, be it in surveying, be it in accounting, be it in whatever, those who love this great nation, to come to Parliament and provide their expertise to supplement on what Parliament is providing. This is an appeal to those who believe in the next generation and those who believe that the current Malawi can be saved from future undertakings. Because if we cannot save this country, then who? If not now, then when? With these remarks, the proceedings are suspended for 10 minutes for us to discuss. Thank you so much.
Osaiwala kupanga subscribe ku channel ya AMTV Malawi.